Hey everyone, welcome back to On the Fence Movie Reviews. I am Adrian.
And I'm Daniel.
Today we're going to be talking about Tenet. So guys, what's up? I hope you got a chance to check out our earlier video of our trip down to San Diego where we went to go watch Tenet. And unfortunately, Rob wasn't able to join us, so he's not going to be reviewing the film with us today. So it's just going to be Daniel and I, which we both got to see in IMAX down there in San Diego. So Tenet stars John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, Elizabeth Debicki, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, and Kenneth Branagh. And this is, I believe, the 11th film of Christopher Nolan's directorial...
Are you counting his...
The Following?
Following?
Yeah, I am.
Some people don't count it, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely counting it. And so why don't we jump right into it? I mean, it's kind of hard to even really describe the plot. I guess for the most part, it's kind of in the shell, and at its most basic form, it is a spy espionage sort of thriller. But there's a lot of sci-fi fantasy going on in there, and so... tied into that. So let's jump right into some of the overall ideas and themes. Daniel, what were your thoughts of it?
I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. Is it Nolan's best? No, it's not. But that's not a bad thing because honestly, even his lesser movies are still honestly better than what we usually get nowadays.
Yeah.
But I definitely enjoyed it. It's definitely action packed. It's honestly probably one of his most thrilling for sure. Like go and stuff like that with the action and stuff. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. But to get into, I guess, sort of the bad about it is it's definitely a little confusing. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. I'm pretty sure you're a little confused. But a lot of it had to do with the dialogue and the sound mixing because although the score was really amazing and I did like how they you were kind of talking about it after the movie how they during the action scenes when there's like time manipulation and stuff like that, the soundtrack it almost like it sounds like it's playing backwards, but I thought it was pretty cool. But in saying that, it can be overpowering at times during the dialogue. And so it can be kind of hard to hear and understand what they're saying. And this is a movie where you definitely need to hear every single thing that's going on. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to kind of be lost. And it didn't help in that the theater that we went to was not that good.
Yeah, that was kind of a drawback for me was that.
Yeah, like even during the previews, like we kind of looked at each other like I was like, is this just us? Like, or is the audio bad? Yeah. And so like with all that, it was kind of hard to like follow with the dialogue. But yeah, so I have my notes here, sorry. But overall, like I said, it's a good movie. It's definitely I would definitely, check it out if you're near San Diego or you're near a theater that's open. But I don't know go ahead.
No, for me, a lot of what you're saying is true, especially with the sound. It kind of and that's the thing that I was confused about was it the theater? Because, again, we talked about the trailers that, the sound did not sound very good. And then there was at points where it was like, okay, what did he say? I got to go back to that. Okay. So, yeah, and like a film like this where there is a lot to unpack and there's a lot of dialogue things and exposition going on.
Right.
That it kind of like you really have to pay attention to almost every word. And that's also kind of the thing that kind of draws back from this film because if you're not a fan of films like that or it's like you're really trying to focus, you might miss some things. And so that may be a drawback for some people. For me, it's not that big of a deal, but for some people they might find it like, God, this is so much, like, so much going on. But overall, I did enjoy the film. Like what you're saying, the action is just kind of... That's the thing about Nolan's films is he does have a good idea and sense of pacing to where they can be, 2.5, 2:45, and you don't feel it as much. Mm-hmm. But, I like what you're saying with the sound, but then also too, there is a point in the film where the action really picks up like crazy, but then it kind of dies back down. you know, and so it was kind of like, all right, and it was more exposition. So there was a lot of like, and I understand you have to set up the world and explain a lot of what's going on, but when you get to that point of just full adrenaline rush and then come back down, it kind of, you know,
it could take you out of the movie.
Yeah,
sometimes.
it can take you out of the movie, and you're like, oh, I gotta, you know, and then again with the bad sound mixing, you know, that really kind of takes you out of it.
Yeah, there was like a boat scene where like they were talking over each other, but it was just like way too loud, like the ocean, the music and and just like the ambiance around, and it was just like I had no idea what they said in that whole scene. I was just like, okay, like all right, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is you can kind of gather. Well, let's talk about the music. On what you were saying, I really enjoyed the music. It's the same guy who did the music for like Black Panther and Creed. So it's he works with Ryan Coogler, but I really enjoyed the score. I thought it sounded really good, and you know it almost sounded similar to something that Hans Zimmer would score. So it fits in Nolan's films. But the problem I had with it is there was points where they used too much of it, or they could have toned it down a little bit to where we can hear what was going on. But you know, it was just there was a lot of it, and I think that was the drawback for me.
Yeah, like you said, like the score was like I didn't even know. I thought it was Hans Zimmer. I was like, oh, like that's another good. We talked after. I was like, oh, that's a really good soundtrack, you know. And you told me it's like, oh, it's actually not Hans Zimmer, and I was like, what? And it was like it's very Hans Zimmer-esque, and so.
Yeah, the and like the dun. So there was a lot of like that, and but yeah, no, it works. But again, that there was points where they probably could have done without the music or just toned it down to again where we're able to understand it. But again, like this is one of those films that you know it'll get better with every watching because you're able to catch everything.
Most definitely.
You know, like. Even though we're talking about like, yeah, we weren't able to understand some of the things, you get what's going on.
Yeah, you get the premise. You do get the premise, like what the whole story is about.
Yeah, you get a lot of that, and you know, so you get the ideas of everything, and I really like the way they tie everything in, and so there's things really that cool. kind of like reference back to stuff that happened at the very beginning,
right? And
when that sort of stuff happens, it's kind of like I need to go back and watch it again, so I. Like, wait, I didn't catch that at the first time or whatever. Right. And like I said, so you might get people that will watch it the first time and say, I didn't really care for it because it was like too confusing or whatever. But as you watch it more and more, and I'm sure this is what's going to happen for a lot of people, is they'll enjoy it more and more.
Yeah, like I've seen a lot of mixed reviews and stuff, and a lot of people who are like confused and stuff. But like I said, like after more and more you watch it, I feel like you'll probably more appreciate it more. One thing I did want to mention is that no one really talks about, but like the special effects / practical effects, I thought they were really good. Like, in certain movies you could tell like, oh, this is CGI and this, but it really looked like it was all happening in real time. Like,
the things that Nolan was able to do in camera, and I was reading, I forget, I think it might have been an IndieWire article that talked about he used like something like less than 300 visual effects. So everything was in camera, and like the majority of it was all in camera, and so the choreography and the stuff that he's able to do with his stunt team. I mean, this is some of his best work, in my opinion, if not the best work. The stuff that he does, just the chase scenes as they're on the freeway, the end sequence. Even the airport sequence, like there's so many sequences that it just goes, and it's like it's insane. Like man, how did they do that? And you know that they're doing it all impractical, and so it's something you definitely have to see on the big screen. It's it's not going to be the same watching it at home. So hopefully there is a theater that's close by to you that you can maybe make a trip to go see. But I would recommend watching it on the biggest screen possible and really, checking this film out. Daniel, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, fortunately for us, we do live close to San Diego, which is about like an hour and a half drive. And it was definitely worth the experience. Like you said, see it in an IMAX theater to get the full experience, and like it was awesome. I gotta say, it was just awesome being in a theater, just in general.
Yeah,
you know,
even with the bad sound, I'm like, it was still it still beats watching a movie at home.
Exactly. Like even with the bad sound, like it's nothing beats the theater. Like just being in the theater with a bunch of people. Well, it wasn't like a bunch of people. Just, I know there was social distancing. But like you get what I'm saying, like with the crowd, you could just you could hear, you could feel the energy.
There's a communal experience of everybody watching a film together and experiencing it together, and then kind of just having that same anticipation and excitement that fills the room. You can feel it, that ambiance, and it's really great, and it's an exciting thing.
Yeah, I'm like super like anxious to get back into the theater.
Yeah,
I'm like, not only to watch this movie, but just movies in general.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But anyways, guys, I'm going to recommend getting off the fence, checking out Tenet, and going to see it as soon as you can.
Yeah, and I recommend also to get off that fence. Like if you're like within a few hour drive, or maybe some of you are like a 10-minute drive, who knows? But definitely I say check it out. Yeah, I highly recommend this movie. It is definitely an awesome experience. Seeing this movie and stuff.
Yep. So, guys, thanks for watching our review of Tenet. If you have seen it, why don't you comment down below and let us know what you thought of it, and maybe even where you rank it among other Nolan films. And also, don't forget to click like, subscribe, share. Follow us on Instagram at On The Fence Movie Reviews for all that behind-the-scenes content and little random stuff that we post.
And remember, we'll catch you on the fence.